As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Come on,
Let's go, baby. Hey, good morning. Victory. What is today? Victory Friday.
Technically Friday.
Let's go. Hey, hold on. Hey, is Juicy J? I see him. He said, "Boone, hold up and say, hey, good morning, Victory Friday, boys.
Hey.
Crunch Time Sports. Juicy J's about to hop in here. It's weird. We're in the morning instead of 8 to 10 because we're gonna. Hey, it's gonna be a beautiful thing. Just like Dan Campbell's about to give all the boys a couple days off. I don't know if you heard that. He's like, hey, fellas, get a couple days off here to spend with their family. Hey, the fellas aren't going to have a show tonight, and we're just going to go spend it with the fam and take like a 2.5 day
reprieve
bye week.
Yeah,
what is that?
We're a reprieve. We'll take a bye week. This will be our bye week.
It's like a short bye week.
Tomorrow, Boone.
Yeah, I'm just going to sit at home and watch that thing. I might just enjoy that one.
I had a bad dream about that last night.
I've been trying to tell you.
I had a bad dream. It's not going to happen, but I had a bad dream. All I heard was, Will Howard drops back. There's Johnson down the sideline.
Oh, no. As Will is wait a second. Trying to
Will's
think.
banged up a little bit, isn't he?
I don't know if he's playing. I think he might have been like sitting out for the year.
Should be here.
That's why I'm a little nervous. I don't know. I could be wrong. Oh, Juicy J! Hey, good morning, brother. Good morning.
What's going on, fellas?
Rise and shine, lover boy.
Good to see you bright and early, Jack. Hey, back to the throwback days.
I'm ready to go.
I'm going to be honest, I don't know how to shut the music off. I'm trying over here.
I got you.
I pressed the fade out thing, and the thing hasn't faded out. And there's no pause button. There's just a mute button.
No, there's quite literally a pause button just where you hit play.
Hey, you guys don't hear the fan, do you?
Nah, you're good.
All right.
I don't hear it at least.
All right, because it's going on in the back. I'll make sure we have no background noise, so that's good. It's a good thing.
You're good.
How we feeling, boys?
I feel great. Victory Friday. I love a good Victory Friday. We haven't had a Victory Friday after Thanksgiving in 7 years, so this is new.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, even the negative thing, I guess you bring up the more injuries, which we talked about on Sunday. It's like they won, but the only negative thing would be injuries, and that's like that's here we are again. More injuries.
Yeah, it was brutal. I mean, I saw a list here. Honestly, hold on. Can I just pull this list up? This is crazy. I might have bookmarked it. I hope I did. I really hope I did. Oh, this guy. I don't. Oh, what's going on here? What's going on here, Boone? What are you doing, Boone?
Lock in, Boone.
All right, here it is, dude. I don't know if this is. I don't know who this guy is, and maybe I just need to get a little bit more well versed here in the Lions world, or maybe I'm just getting. I don't know. But this guy, have you guys seen this guy?
I have not.
Detroit Lions morning rounds. He must be like covers the Detroit Lions. He's a doctor, an MD. I think that means medical doctor. But he listed literally all the injuries here. So Emmanuel Mosley, Dan Campbell said something popped pregame, doesn't sound serious. So Mosley, the reason he didn't play was a pregame injury. Terrion Arnold didn't start because he wanted to make sure he was good. Josh Paschal, right knee hard step. This is Jeff. Possible bone bruise. Hope no cartilage damage. MRI pending. Levi, this is the one that's it sounds tough. Possible LCL or patella tendon. I don't know what that is, boys. Doesn't sound good. MRI pending. Wingo. Possible mid-right knee sprain early third quarter. Wore brace rest of game. So he went back in. DJ Reader, his shoulder. It sounded like a suplex. I don't know what that is either. Skipper just had a little rib injury. Rodrigo. This is another one, boys. Concern for a non-contact ACL. Hope just a mild sprain. So he's going to probably do some testing as well. That's tough, though. Look at all those injuries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 yesterday. One of them was offense. 10 of them was defense.
That's what I'm about to say. One of them on the offensive side of the ball. In the next 2 weeks, you have Jordan Love and the Packers coming to town, then Josh Allen and the Bills coming into town. So Aaron Glenn, he coached, 12 straight quarters of giving up a touchdown, and he gave up 20 points in the second half. Obviously, not just going to single Aaron Glenn out and blame him for that. There's a lot of injuries going on. But AG, he's been finding a way to dominate teams. It's now time to do the same thing against these elite and good teams coming into Ford Field. The Bears, not an elite or good team, but you could see when they get hot, they can you can see the glimpses of where they're going to be in the future. So that's where it's kind of not nice that they got tested like that in the second half, but it was needed because I feel like if they would have just kind of squeaked out of there, just kind of how they played in the first half, nothing really changed, they could have got a rude wake-up call against Green Bay or Buffalo over the next 2 weeks.
You see those Packers last night? Yeah.
Bro, I got home and
Yeah.
Packers look good. I don't want to say, okay, I'll say this. They are playing really well. I don't want to use last night as much as because they played the Miami Dolphins in 20-degree weather. Like Tua
yeah, but they
was overthrowing, underthrowing, everything. Offensively, they looked good, but
yeah. But, I know, I get it, but you can't look at that team and be like, they're playing.
I mean,
well.
they're just like the Lions. Like they're on a big winning streak. I mean, they're kind of like the Eagles too. It's like they're winning a bunch of football games.
That's a team that you can't play like you played the Bears last night. You know what I mean? You let them. The first half, yes, but second half, absolutely not. You give up 20 points. Like the Bears have a rookie quarterback. They can't protect Caleb. You know, obviously DeAndre Swift was running the ball a little better, but Packer team's playing well, and it's tough when you have injuries already. I get that, but they already beat them once, and this time it'll be at a Ford Field. But that game yesterday, I'm not gonna. I mean, we'll talk more about it later in the show. I mean, we'll get into a ton of stuff, but watching the game, the second half, 20 points, and Caleb Williams is just nickel and diming you, and then he's getting these chunk plays down the field. That the defense, and partially because of injuries, I get that. And then also the defensive line, guys going down, I get that. But that defense in the first half compared to the second team in the first half, not defense, the team compared from the first half to the second half, it was completely different. It was completely different. And it got scary there for a second until Matt Eberflus went full dumbass and just gave the Lions a win. So that I don't want to see that next Thursday is my point.
It's a weird thing. I think it was because I don't know. I would like to hope that we can lean on the 3 games prior to that and the way the defense played for the last 3 weeks besides that half. I want to be able to say I think that second half happened because of all these injuries. You have 10 guys that defensively that are banged up go down, and you're the only starters you have Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, and then you go to Jack Campbell and then DJ Reader and Aleem. And those 2 guys dominated too, and they kind of stepped up. So I think defensively when it came down to that fourth quarter, you have 4 starters out on the field. And Terrion was banged up in and out. You're working in Branch. Remember, he went down with that ankle. I think it was third quarter. I think he went down. It was holding his ankle or early fourth. So I would like to hope, boys, that going into the Packers game, that second half versus the Bears was just kind of a one-off, a divisional. I mean, Jeff, you said it going into the game, it was going to be a close game, and we knew what the Chicago team did offensively to us. They were one of those teams that just had your number. They were just get whatever they wanted for a little bit. So hopefully that was it. I think it's a positive though. We already played the Packers. So you have a feel for them and exactly. It's not like the Bears where it's all right, we have to game plan for a team we playing for the first time this year. You know what this Packers team is. You've already beat them once. You already have a game plan, to beat them, and you're at home. They are playing well. They've won 7 of their last 8. So you do have to make sure you're ready to go. But I think now that you know what the injuries you have and AG, scheme with what you have, but you have to be ready to go. And tell me this, fellas. I'll call a spade a spade.
All right.
Didn't feel like that offense was clicking on every cylinder.
Oh yeah, it's both sides of the ball. It wasn't. I don't want to just say the defense.
But to my point to that though, Jeff, it's this offense is going to go 2 straight weeks the offense isn't going to go 2 straight weeks playing the way they did yesterday. Like, they will finish in the red zone this week. They are going to make sure they finish their drives. They're going to get touchdowns over field goals. Like, Ben's not going to you remember the Houston game, as bad as they played the next week, they're like, offensively, they came out and they were like, all right, we're going to go score a bunch of touchdowns. And they scored 50. And I know it's the team they played, but offensively, if they just show up next week offensively with the beat up defense, they should be good. They should be good to win the football game. But I think it's more so hey, offense has to hold their weight next week. I think that's what it's going to come down to, because that's a good Packers defense.
Yeah, I mean, if Tua was having his way, he was dinking and dunking a little bit.
Jonnu Smith was cutting up. Boy, I had 10 snags for me on my fantasy team.
They just couldn't convert in the red zone for whatever reason, but they had the yards were there. But I don't know. It depends. You checked out the injuries. We'll wait and get official reporting on it and see how long guys are out. I hope, especially the guys on the defensive line, at least you got still Za'Darius, DJ Reader, and Lee McNeil, but Josh has been so good. Like Levi's solid depth, but Josh, a legitimate starter. That sucks if he's out. That sucks. Muhammad played well though.
He played really good.
He was getting held 3 or 4 times. Yeah. Did not get a call, and towards the end of the game, he finally closed it out. But kind of what you were kind of speaking on a little bit earlier, Boone, with the Bears and just overall, I think we have to give this Bears team a little bit of credit as well, because obviously Matt Eberflus single-handedly is holding them back. That's a talented team. Defensively, they're obviously very good, and that's what their strong suit is. But offensively, let's not act and I'm not saying you guys are, but Jonathan Mingo and Brandon Cooks are making catches out there. No, that's DJ Moore. That's Keenan Allen. Even Roman Doones is a very good wide receiver. And then you look at Caleb Williams. He hasn't put it all together yet, but you saw in that second half the flash of why he was the number 1 overall pick. So I think you also have to compound the injuries with the Lions had. But the Bears, their offensive line was kind of banged up. Darnell Wright left the game. But they just had so many good skill players that I would argue that, on paper at least, wide receiver core and the way that Caleb Williams played in that second half, that's going to be just as good, if not better, than what the Packers are going to give you, just because that talent they have up there with the wide receiver core. Josh Jacobs is not obviously to the same level of DeAndre Swift. I'm going to take Jacobs every time. But Lions, at least, was stopping the run. They gave up 1 big run to Swift. That was pretty much it. Outside of that, he had 9 yards in the first half. Caleb Williams, 10. That first half defense was very good. I think it just goes on. You got to play complementary football. When the offense isn't playing like that, that's going to give the other team more momentum, because this was more dominant offenses that we've seen in NFL history. So if they're kind of stalling out, not getting 7, they're going to have to accept 3. Jake Bates missing a field goal. That's going to pump up the other side. If the defense is dealing with injuries, it's going to have an effect. But I just think more so, instead of looking at the lines, it's oh, what the hell happened? Give that Bears team some credit, because we've seen, even with the Lions in the past, when they were kind of getting everything together, they were losing games, but it's how do we keep losing like this? They lost 3 straight divisional games at the end of the fourth quarter or in overtime. You look at that blocked field goal against Green Bay, in overtime last week against Minnesota, and now you got Matt Eberflus and Caleb Williams forgetting what a timeout is with 6 seconds left on the clock. So I think a lot of it just has to give credit to Chicago for making plays, man.
Yeah, I mean, I do think the Chicago team is a lot better than people thought. I know there was a lot of people going into the game the Lions are going to blow them out, and I think that was just the easy thing to say. But I feel like we were pretty consistent on the show. I was I think it's going to be a close game, and the Lions are going to win.
3-point game.
Yeah, and Jeff had a 1-possession game. I had a 2-possession. I just thought the Lions were going to score another at the end to go win by 14, just like they did last week. I just thought it was going to be I didn't think it was going to be a 30-point game. I did feel like it was going to get closer. I thought the Bears were going to score 17 points. And I feel like that's kind of bold. I still think they scored 20, but 17 on the Lions defense is pretty good over the last few weeks. So, I mean,
dude, we were all hesitant though at halftime to give him a touchdown. And they scored 20 in the
they had 30 total yards in the first half.
Yeah,
so they were playing bad, but also AG had the defense going, and then something in the second half. I just think it was injuries, and then I think, Klotz, to your point, you can give some credit to the Bears and Caleb Williams. He started playing well. As much as we might hate Caleb Williams and hate the Bears, offensively they started playing well, and it was a mixture of that happening and you losing 10 defensive players throughout a 24-hour span. That's where it's okay, this is a bad mix. And that's typically, guys, and this is where I have a little bit of a problem with the Lions yesterday, is you typically, all right, you have a situation like your defense for 2.5 games has absolutely dominated for you. And then you have a half of football to where within a game, you lose 3 defensive linemen, you lose a linebacker, you lose corners, you lose 10 defensive players in a 24-hour span. And all you need is your offense to go down. And I'm going to see how many possessions they had in the second half outside of their touchdown. 1, 2, 3 possessions. And they got a field goal. They couldn't go down and punch a touchdown in to end up to ice the game for your defense. It's like, hey, when your defense is struggling for the first time in 14 quarters, hey, Ben Johnson, I know the Lions have asked a lot of this offense over the last 13 games or whatever it's been. But like, hey, this is part of this thing, like in the playoffs. If you're probably playing a Kansas City Chiefs team and that second half happens the way it did, you're probably not losing the game. And I'll tell you what, Kansas City Chiefs, they're calling a timeout and they're kicking a field goal with Harrison Butker and they're winning the game in the Super Bowl. So that's where it's like, hey, defense or offense needs to step up in those situations. And I think they know that. And I think when you go to next week in the Green Bay game, you know what? We have a big enough sample size for 2 years of Dan Campbell. That one I'll say this, that felt like a loss yesterday. I know it was a win, but it felt like that could have been a loss. Dan Campbell after losses and Dan Campbell after games like this is pretty locked in. But that offense yesterday needed to step up. I know they put 23 points up on the board, but you can't. When your defense starts to struggle like that, you need something to pick them back up. And the offense did not do that. They did not help out after that. Whatsoever. I know it's saying like, hey, 2 punts like is unacceptable, but like for this Detroit Lions offense with the weapons you have and what you like, 2 punts is unacceptable. You know, that's crazy to say at this point, but like that's what it feels like yesterday. Like you have to go down and get points.
Shout out to Jack Fox too and Khalil Dorsey for down on that one punt. I like the inch line. But
that was
close.
And it wasn't and real quick too, like the touchdown coming out of half. Like that was a 11 play, 78-yard drive. Like
great drive.
Yeah, it was a great drive. But you mentioned the punt, missed field goal. Look at the actual plays. Like the punt was 4 plays, 16 yards, minute 30 punt. Like they didn't even there was nothing there. And then the punt late in the game, it was 3 plays, 8 yards, punt. You know, like they're not even like. Meanwhile, the touchdown coming out of half was like this 11-play drive. And then it's 3 plays punt, 3 plays punt. Like they're not even like drives you're getting anything out of. And then you had the missed field goal. But Jake Bates I can't really look at him. I mean, the dude's been like perfect all year. So.
Dude, offensively, you had an 11-play drive to start the half to score a touchdown. Your offense had 12 total plays after that because they couldn't move.
Yeah.
12 total plays.
Crazy.
And one of those plays is a punt. So you really had 11 offensive plays after that opening drive of the second half. That's like unacceptable. I think Ben knows that. Like those guys know that, but that's like unacceptable, especially when your defense is losing guys and you have injuries.
Sorry, I want to just bring this up and address this too, because Damon Dice, he's a Bears fan too. Lions can keep Ben Johnson, dude's overrated. That's actually funny though. If that's Bears fans are taking that away from that,
we'll keep him for another year.
Yeah, we'll take him on the sideline.
But I want to bring this. What he said, the other thing he said. I'm more convinced Lions are not getting past the Eagles. He means, like, let's not forget. All right, even though we had the argument, the Eagles and the Commanders thing. Like, let's keep it a stack, right? Let's keep it honest right now, okay? Anyone watch that Eagles-Jags game? Like, did anyone ever watch that game? The Jags got back into it, and they barely escaped the Jags. So teams are going to have games where you look at and you're like, The Lions, it's just people hold them to such a high standard because they are blowing teams out every week, or for the most part. They're covering. So I'm not going to overreact because of one game. Like, do I think the Eagles are good? Yes. But let's go look at the Eagles schedule and check out some of the games they've had this year. Like the Jags is one example. You could bring up more. So it's the wrong time to like overreact and be like, oh, the Lions might be fraudulent. That's what it's probably going to be national, talking points. But people just forget the Eagles-Jags game. Like that didn't happen. Was that even with Trevor Lawrence, by the way?
It was. I think that was the last game.
Yeah, let's not get
leave them. what I was going to ask you guys. Do you think that there's going to be the narrative now that the Detroit Lions are due for a loss pretty soon? Just because you kind of look at them against Houston, snuck away with one, against Chicago, snuck away with one. They won 10 straight, 9 straight, whatever it is, the winning streak that they're on. 2 big games. Like, I'm not saying that I think they are. I want to see how they look against Green Bay health-wise, but I guarantee that's going to be like everybody that's not a true believer in the Detroit Lions winning a Super Bowl. This is when they're all going to start coming out of the woodwork, I believe.
Of course they're going to lose. Like, at some point. You know what I mean? Like, they're 11-1. They've been blowing teams out, beating teams not playing their best football. Like you know, guess what? Guess what, guys? They're going to lose. You know what I'm going to do? Okay.
They're still the Detroit. Like, don't you
2.
guys think we've seen enough? Like,
yeah, of course. Yeah,
we've seen enough out of this football team to say, like, not even just in spurts. Like, we've seen. I mean, guys, they've won 10 straight games. You have 10 straight wins. You're gonna have a win that's by a possession. You're gonna have a win to where you need something like you did yesterday. You're not gonna win every football game by double digits, by 30, by 40. Like, you won't. The best teams in NFL history did it. The Chiefs over the last 3 years, when there's the Super Bowl run that they've had, they've won games in overtime versus bad teams. They've lost games with bad teams. And guess what? They're still a good football team. That's the one thing about this Lions thing, to where I think there's still like the it hasn't been lifted up yet, is I do think, like, still nationally, like, everyone still believes in the Lions to win a Super Bowl. People are like, all right, that's fine. Like, that curse is gone. But I still do think, and Jeff, to your point, like, when the Lions have one bad game, or not even a bad game, like they were up 16-0 in the first half. It was like a bad half of football, and you suffered injuries. So it was like, all right, how bad really was it? When you have that, and then all of a sudden national media, and I'm sure we'll turn on, once we get off here, we'll turn on First Take, not even First Take, any of the shows, and they'll start questioning the Lions from today. That's the one thing that isn't going to go away with the Lions for a little while, until you win a Super Bowl, and then maybe until you win 2, until you prove it. It's like, you could win 15 games, but the 2 weeks after those 2 losses that you had in the season, they're going to be questioning how serious the Detroit Lions are, which is crazy, because the Chiefs could go 15-2, and the 2 weeks after that, they're going to be like, hey, Patrick Mahomes MVP.
Yeah.
And you're like, they just lost. And you're like, yeah, that's just the narrative that's going to be written. And you know what? I see that exactly. Like, Damon Dice, you proved my point right. As Lions win a close game versus Chicago Bears, which, hey, it's the NFL. You're going to have close games, even if you're the best team in the NFL. Like, it was a battle. And you're going to sit here and be like, oh, just because it was a close game, oh, all of a sudden the Eagles are better. No, watch football. We have a sample size of 13 or 12 weeks of football, 10 or 11-1, 10 straight wins. They are not better than than the Detroit Lions. They are not. Like, if they went head to head today, the Lions would probably still be 3 or 4 point favorites, and they would win the game. Like, that's just, let's not act like I hate that. Like, the quick of being like,
it's a divisional game, man.
It's a good football game.
Yeah,
and it's like, you know what, Damon Dice, that shows me that you don't think that your Chicago Bears are even close to good. Like, you think they're the worst team in the league. That's what that shows me, buddy. Shout out to Damon Dice.
Chiefs, Panthers.
Good supporter.
That's a whole nother one. So, yeah, Chiefs, you see the game against the Panthers. It's going to happen. I'm not going to overreact. I mean, Philly has 2 losses on the year, and they were to Tampa Bay, which the Lions lost to, and then Atlanta, which look like trash right now. So, and that was early in the season. But it's about how you're playing now, and the Eagles are playing great now, but the Lions have been playing really, really great. It's just, you know, they have a slip-up. They have a close game against the Bears. Every week's different in the NFL. You guys know how it is. One week you're playing a close game with the Bears. Next week, you could be doing something completely different. The one thing I do worry about, and I think we've all been consistent with this, is the injuries. Like, how bad do they get? Because that's something that can derail a season. We all understand that, accept that. But, like, as a team, you know, should we be worried about, you know, the defense or the offense? It's like, dude, you've seen a big enough sample size to be fine. You know, it is what it is. Yeah, I see Darius. He says Chiefs been winning like this all year. Good teams find a way to win. No excuses. Can't tell. Nobody tell me nothing about that with yesterday. Yeah, Darius is right. I mean, if you find ways to win, you're not playing your best football. You have to give credit there. It's not like they've been doing this all year. If they had these close games all year, maybe we'd be sitting there going, you have one of these in the playoffs. I mean, you're finding ways to win close games, which is great, but you're keeping it too close for comfort. They've destroyed teams like
when they're supposed to.
Yeah, Xavier McKinney called them out for potentially embarrassing like teams. Like it's gonna happen. But go ahead, Boone. I haven't seen this clip yet. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, this is just Dan Campbell on the win. And Jeff, to that, like, all right, say the Chicago Bears kick a field goal. Like, how much? Like, I have faith that the Lions go into overtime. And we were talking about it on the watch party. They go into, like, yeah, I was stressed out. It's like I don't want to go to OT because of the coin flip and all that. But then to your point, Klotz, it's like people could easily be like, well, you only won the game because they didn't call a timeout. Guys, listen, like, I promise you, if that game goes to OT, even if the Bears get the ball first, the Detroit Lions are holding them to a field goal or a stop, and they're going down and winning that football game. So don't, like, the excuse of, oh, you only won because of a timeout. You were about to lose. We weren't about to lose. They were going to try and kick a field goal with the worst field goal kicker in the NFL, and we held them to a field goal, and they didn't get to their field goal. Like, that could have been crowd noise. Caleb Williams was shook. Like, he didn't know what to do. Like, at the end of the day, they didn't win the football. It had nothing to do with they gave us the win. The Lions were going to go win the game regardless in overtime. Regardless.
Yeah.
So I think there was no handing a win over either.
When you look at that last play by Chicago, that if you even want to call it a play, just throwing away the game at that point, it's exactly what happened in overtime last week against them in Minnesota. Like, Caleb Williams is like 2nd and 10, and he has about 5 to 10 seconds to throw the ball, like clear as day, and he just takes a sack. Next play behind the line of scrimmage results in a loss. They got punted away. Minnesota goes down the field in like 3 plays and scores. And that's exactly what happened. Like, in crunch time, no pun intended, there's just the moments right now where too big for Caleb Williams and Matt Eberflus. So the Lions are the better coach team, more talented team. They would have won. I wouldn't have denied that.
Bears are a decent team. You know, they're scrappy. They're a scrappy team. You know, that's why, like, after the first half, we're all like, man, like, I think it'll be a little closer the second half. But we didn't think it'd be like that. But I was shocked. I mean, they held the Bears scoreless in the first half. Not that the Bears are this like humming offense, but I do respect the Bears. I mean, they got a good defense on paper. That defense is always, for whatever reason, always causing matchup problems for the Lions. That's why I picked a closer score. It's just I don't know why. You know, some teams it's just like that, and it's a divisional game. But
divisional games always.
But personnel wise, like, I think they give the Lions more problems offensively or defensively than the Packers, Viking, like the Bears, for whatever reason. I don't know why. It's just they have a good defensive line, which matches up. They got good linebackers. They got good corners. Like, they got good. It's just they match up well with the Lions. So I'm not like entirely surprised the Lions only scored 23. I'm not. Now, what do they look like next week is the real question.
And they always bounce. They seem to bounce back. I just think, like, I tweeted it out yesterday, boys. I was just like, hey, Lions fans should just be thankful. Like, they have an elite head coach right now and an experienced quarterback after seeing what the Bears did. Because, like, Matt Eberflus won. Like, I'll give him a little. All right. I'll give Matt. He should be fired this morning. I will give him the only benefit of the doubt I'll give him is this. Jeff, I know you're a Caleb Williams guy, so don't take this the wrong way now, Juicy J. Matt Eberflus postgame did say we had a plan in place. Like, we told Caleb, hey, there was about 38 seconds, he said, left on the clock going into the second down. He said we wanted to, with the 30 seconds or 20-something, 28 seconds that were left going into that third down, he said we told them we need a quick play, leave about 15 seconds left on the clock for fourth down, and then we can call a timeout and kick a field goal. Caleb just did not execute that at all. Like, as a quarterback leading that offense, like, you're like Jared Goff, like Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson, they can give him the game plan. Jared has to go execute it with the offense. Like, they go over the 2-minute drill. They go over situational situations. That was situational situations is crazy to say.
I kind of like that though.
Yeah, that's kind of a bar.
I kind of like that. Yeah. No,
but like at some point, like, yeah, and it is Matt Eberflus's job to make sure that they execute it as well. But hey, Caleb has to go out there and do that. He has to go out there, and if he realizes they're not getting the ball up and they're not doing that, like, he needs to call a timeout himself. Or Matt, if Matt Eberflus realizes, hey, they're taking too long, call a timeout. But like, you can't, like, Matt said, hey, I had the plan for them. I gave them the plan in place, and Caleb didn't execute it. That's a problem on both ends. The coach should be able to figure out that situation. And the quarterback, I know it's a rookie quarterback. Jeff, that was like on a tee. Like, if you showed me what happened there yesterday, you said, hey, what year is this guy in the NFL? I would have said anyone, like blindly. That's a rookie quarterback. He did not know. He could not get that offense set. It took him 30 seconds to get that offense set. 30 seconds. And then 4 seconds on the clock for the man to drop back and just sit in the pocket for 4 seconds and lob a ball up. Knowing the situation was like, that's just like, dude, what are you doing? At least throw like a quick slant so you can at least have a second on the clock to at least call a timeout.
Yeah,
you have to know. Like, that was bad on Caleb Williams' end. That might have been the worst mistake he's made in his rookie year so far. That was bad.
I'll give you, like, I think rookie quarterback definitely is in play. I would say getting lined up. I would say that's more coaching. Like the Lions, like they know how to get lined up quick. Like that's like a veteran team.
But if the coach have gone over that situation and the coach told them, hey, this is going to be a third down play. We need to be lined up at the 17-second mark, and the players aren't getting lined up. Caleb, they were lined up. Yeah. They were lined up with 15 seconds. If you go back and watch, they were lined up. If you go watch, Caleb's audible. That man's out there screaming to players. He's like, he doesn't know what to do. It was Caleb Williams. I think number one blame almost goes on Caleb Williams. That man's out. Watch the replay. The man's out there yelling like, he didn't know what to do. Ford Field was screaming. He was like, I don't know what to do. He didn't hike the ball until 5 seconds. I mean, it was unbelievable from a quarterback. Rookie quarterback, I know it's a rookie quarterback, so you get a little slack. But, man, that's one of the worst mistakes I've ever seen out of a quarterback.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though.
Anyone.
You're not wrong, but as a coach, if you see a rookie quarterback doing that.
Call timeout. I'm with you on that. I already said that, but I'm not giving – I don't give – no excuses for Caleb Williams, Jeff. Zero.
No, it's not about
that was the worst mistake I've seen out of a quarterback in general this year. I've watched Mac Jones play football, I saw Caleb make
we're getting egregious.
That was the worst mistake out of a quarterback all season.
After taking a sack, too.
Oh, dude, that was literally Jeff. I know you like Caleb. That was
has nothing to do with. I'm just telling you, like, my honest opinion.
I'm sorry, I'm getting so fired up.
What would Dan Campbell?
He would call timeout. I know that. Exactly. But at the end of the day, your quarterback, Klotz, I hope you're on my side with this because that was
after the game. I think it's like 60-40 Eberflus Williams.
But that was one of the worst. Whether it's the coach's fault too, that was the worst quarterback mistake I have seen in the NFL season. That was egregious. Like I would say, if Zach Wilson was back there, Zach Wilson probably would have just no. Zach Wilson probably would have just spiked the ball, and I would have taken that over what Caleb did. This man had 30 seconds to line his team up and started calling plays out, audibling, and the man was flustered. And then he got to the ball at 15 seconds, and he looks around, hikes the ball at 5, and instead of just throwing it quick so you can call timeout, the man threw a 40-yard bomb to a guy in double coverage.
He was worried about
they had to. He literally had to.
He didn't have to. He hiked the ball at 5 seconds. Throw the ball away. Throw it to someone right in front of you. You have a timeout. Get the ball done. Clock within a second.
They have to take a shot at that point because it's 5-4, no timeouts, clock's ticking.
They hiked the ball at 5 seconds.
No.
Throw the ball quick and get it out. A quick pass.
No, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you throw the ball out? 3 seconds, you have a timeout.
Well, okay.
I want to ask you real quick before you go. Klotz, I want to ask you a situational football when you have one play and you have to clock the ball quick and you have say he obviously didn't know what the time was on the clock. So him throwing the ball up he had no clue what the time was. You know that. So Klotz, under 10 seconds, if you have third down, you need 4 yards to get in field goal range and you have one timeout. Are you throwing a deep ball if you hike the ball at 5 seconds? Are you going to throw a quick slant route, quick out route?
No, that's what I said after the game. That's why I was
you're not throwing it deep. You have time.
The thing is, it's not like he snapped the ball with 6 seconds left. He threw the ball with 6 seconds left. Like when they were lining up, like they probably had 15 seconds left, and you could see the red line.
Threw it with about
Santos range.
3 seconds.
If you're going to take that deep shot, and it's not a guarantee, you just throw it in the dirt, throw it out of bounds, and give your kicker a chance. That's why, I think it is very rookie mistake, but I do think like Caleb, he timeout, throw the ball in the dirt or throw it for a quick completion. That's not a reasonable thing in my opinion.
But
to leave a timeout on the board and try to win the game with one play when you had an opportunity. They honestly could have ran two plays at that time.
Yes,
let's just take the Caleb thing out of it. Let's say it would never happen. Let's say it was Goff and Dan Campbell, and you had 6 seconds left. Jared Goff drops back. Why would he throw it out? Let's just hypothetically, he throws it out of bounds. It's 3 seconds left. Guess what you have to do? The exact same thing.
Take a field goal. You're 3 yards outside.
That's why you have the timeout. Timeout.
But at that point, we're saying the timeout's not been used. Okay, for the timeout was not going to be used.
That's why you have a timeout.
I'd have to look at the exact time left, but I believe
why would you throw
8, 9 seconds up when the ball.
Because Booner, if he throws it out of bounds, what's the next play?
But no, there's 5, 6 seconds.
Timeout. That's why you have a fucking timeout.
What do you?
Timeout.
I'm confused on what you're talking about.
Because if you you're saying throw the ball out. What happens if he throws the ball out? You have 3 seconds left on the clock. What do?
You kick a field goal.
Timeout. That's why you have a timeout. They should have been a timeout already.
But by the time the ball hit the ground to a Doomsday, there was literally zero.
That's why he had the timeout. You don't have to. So Caleb has to override. I'll take the timeout and throw it out of bounds.
I'm confused on what's going on here because all we're saying.
No.
All we're saying is don't throw the ball deep. That was a situationally, you do not throw that ball.
If you have 3 seconds, clock's running out. He has to make a play at that point because the game.
You throw the ball out. You throw it down at the dirt. You throw the ball away. Who cares about the timeout? You have to win a game, Jeff. What are you talking about?
Booner, if the clock is ticking and you have 1 play left in the game.
You're not my head coach right now.
He has no. You're in your Eberflus. You cannot defend that man.
We're not talking about him right now.
He had a timeout when the game's up. When you have 5 seconds left or whatever. Timeout. Kick the field goal. You're saying throw it out of bounds.
Hike the ball at 6 seconds.
No,
you have nothing. Throw the ball away. I don't care about the timeout.
When there was 5 seconds left, the play was already going on. There was no 3 seconds to cut it off.
But you had you had 10 before that to process.
Jeff, the point is Caleb Williams. If there's 6 seconds on the clock, you see 6 seconds, you drop back. You know you need to get a field goal. You drop back. You don't. Who cares about the timeout?
You have a timeout,
dude. He hiked the ball. The timeout does not matter. You have to get out of that play with enough time where there's time left on the clock. Your argument makes 0 sense.
No,
you need time on the clock. That pass was the worst.
Throw it out of bounds. Yeah. Throw it out of bounds. Okay.
Who cares about the timeout? Timeout. Oh my gosh. I
clock stops, right? Throw it out of bounds. Clock stops, right? That's why you have the timeout. At least you're in that situation.
You're arguing that deep ball was okay. It was not. There was no time left on the clock.
That's the only that at that point in time with clock ticking, Booner, you have 1 play left.
You don't. If you throw the ball away, you have a second left.
At that, dude.
I don't know what you're talking about. A timeout.
He's letting the clock tick. He didn't call a timeout. So the clock's ticking. Clock's ticking. Clock's ticking. You said earlier, just throw it out of bounds. To do what? To stop the clock. That's why you have a fucking timeout. He shouldn't have to throw the ball out of bounds.
Buddy, we know that. But when you hike the ball, you can't call a timeout during a play. You have to stop the clock.
Before that, he had time to call
We're not talking about that. We're talking about the idiotic throw downfield, Jeff.
At that point, the clock was going to hit 0. You had needed
No, it wasn't. You hiked the ball at 6 seconds.
You need to score. You need something to happen.
Dude, you have no clue what you're talking about right now. What are we doing?
No, I actually do.
They hiked the ball with 6 seconds left.
He messed up by not taking the timeout. It's on the coach.
Yes, okay.
That's 100% what it is.
Dude, you're arguing something that we've already said. It was on.
Then we all agree the coach. It's on Eberflus. He should have taken a timeout.
It's on both. Eberflus should have taken a timeout, but let's not act.
It's on the head coach, but you can't throw that.
Checking at the line. If you're Caleb Williams and you just took a sack, if you watch after that sack, Caleb Williams is. Come on, guys. Let's get back. Let's run another play. DJ, come back down here. There's no urgency. Then everybody's back at the line of scrimmage. He's calling hot routes. He's trying to make that's not the time to do that. Eberflus should have taken the timeout. But if you're Caleb as well, Caleb should have taken if this was last week and it's not Anthony Richardson, everybody's like, Anthony Richardson's an idiot. Why aren't you taking a timeout? That's what the case is. Caleb Williams played a great second half. Caleb Williams also played a terrible last 30 seconds of the game. Like, you have to get like, and I know you agree that Caleb Williams did not make the best decisions, but I don't
give him some blame. Like, that's
you got to take that time. Like,
something, yeah.
And
Jeff, our point, and you're arguing something completely different. We all agree, me and Klotz agree, the timeout, Eberflus, that the man's an idiot. He's a bum. Call a timeout if you notice your rookie quarterback is doing what he's doing. You call a timeout. But to me and Klotz's point as well, the same thing. It's the same exact thing to where if Caleb hikes the ball and he sees 6 seconds left, situationally, you have to be aware as the quarterback of your football team that, hey, there's 6 seconds left. We can't take a deep shot here because we need a chance at a field goal. So you need to clock the ball, or you need a quick completion with 2 seconds left. So you can call a timeout, or if it's incompletion, you still have 2 seconds left on the clock. Any situational football, if you have 6 seconds left on the clock and you have a third down and you need a chance at a field goal, please, Jeff, tell me a third down play with 6 seconds on the clock, a team that's going to hold the ball, run around, scramble, throw the ball up in the air for the time to run out. There is not one play in NFL history that's happened. That's our point. As you either whether you have the timeout or not, as a quarterback, you have to situationally know to either throw the ball down at the grass, throw it away, or just get a quick completion so your team can call a timeout. That's blame as well. You do not throw a deep ball with no time left on the clock when you're 3 yards out of field goal range, when you can at least give your field goal kicker a chance to tie the game. And I'm at Eberflus for not calling the timeout too. That's our point. It's both sides there. Our point, yes, you are right. You have a timeout left. But at the other side is Caleb Williams. You can't throw that deep ball. Okay. That's the worst thing. If you listed the things you should do, that is dead on the list of things to do in that situation with 6 seconds left. Bottom of the list.
See, and that's how I guess we value it differently. Like, for me, for a rookie quarterback, I would agree he has some responsibility. But so basically what you're saying is you're asking a rookie quarterback to kind of override your head coach and stop the game.
That's your quarterback. That's your quarterback. The quarterback it's not overriding. What's the overriding?
He has
throwing a deep ball? Don't throw a deep ball.
And he doesn't choose to call it. So you're ignoring timeout. When you have a timeout.
You are ignoring what we're saying. I'm not talking about Caleb calling the time. Take the timeout out. I'm just talking about throwing the deep ball with 6 seconds left. I don't care about the timeout. It's throwing the deep ball with 6 seconds left. Clock the ball.
At that point, the clock's already ticking.
No,
so you're spiking the ball.
There's 6 seconds left. You could throw a quick incompletion and have time on the clock for you to get a long field goal and take a chance. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get it, but that's
any situational and third down. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you keep going. If you hike the ball, you can't call a timeout. I get it. Blame number one goes on the timeout. Let's open our minds up a little bit. If you're a quarterback, if Jared Goff would have hiked the ball at 6 seconds and noticed the time was running out and you needed a long field goal, Jared Goff would clock the ball or he would throw a quick incompletion. Even if Dan Campbell messed up, he's not going to sit there and just look at Dan and be like, I'm going to run this clock out just because you didn't call timeout. Yeah, I'm going to get back at you. No, don't throw the deep ball. What are you doing?
No, but to your point, the reason why you look at that is because Jared Goff is, and this is why I don't look as much as Caleb right now, because Caleb being a rookie and
it's still a mistake. I'm not giving the kid an excuse. I got to go. I got a meeting in a minute.
All right. But I would look at it like Jared Goff's played a lot of football in this league to be able to make that call.
I agree, but still,
like
the point we're making is that's a mistake that he made. He made the mistake. That's on him. We're
arguing nothing because we all agree it's majority on Eberflus. It should be. Most people would agree with that. Like, yes, Caleb deserves. Throw him some blame, but like Eberflus gifted the Lions that game.
They're both of them. They're both. It's Caleb
so
and
equally. You would say they're equal. Blame.
I think they both have blame. 55-45. I don't care.
That's not.
That's on you though. But they still. I still think that like Caleb Williams. I legit. I have to go. I do have to go.
Okay, Eberflus does not have the same amount of blame as Caleb, in my opinion. I think this game comes down to a simple fact of Eberflus fumbling a game. And if you want to say Caleb Williams had something to do with it, go ahead. But the Lions won a game that they did not play their best football. That's how I look at this. So Caleb Williams being a rookie, Matt Eberflus being a terrible head coach, whatever the case may be, Lions got to win. All right. And that's all that matters. So, and we got to take the narratives out of, we got to take the narratives out, whether we hate Caleb or hate whatever it is. Eberflus is a terrible head coach. The Lions are lucky to have faced him. And Caleb Williams is a rookie, and that's going to happen. So it is what it is. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back on Monday. We'll be back live, but we want to go live in the morning here. Until then, have a great rest of your day and weekend, and we'll talk to you guys Monday. See ya.